Is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
But journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
Charlie Peters, he gave a voice to the victims of grooming gangs, and now, of course, it's led to a national inquiry.
GBNews exists to make sure those concerns are put forward and people feel as though what they want to ask is put to those in power.
We don't take orders from anyone. We ask the questions our viewers and listeners want answering.
I know what's actually being discussed by my family and my friends.
Us ordinary, hard-working British people have had enough. We've had enough.
They're fed up with the same old establishment nonsense. Everything that we do is opening up conversations that others are afraid to go at.
Why are you illegally bringing people into Britain?
That is our job. Our job is to get to the truth.
If it's important to you watching or listening at home, then it's important to us as well.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Good evening, it's 9 p.m. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight.
Nothing beats it. This is my idea of a holiday. I'm here at the site of the Rampion 2 wind farm.
Well, there is an absolute scandal that's broken, and it's costing you, the taxpayer, £54 million in climate aid. But is Ed Miliband responsible? Also,
I shared on social media the work I and colleagues across the two houses have been doing to urge the government of Pakistan to build an international airport at Mirpur.
Well, mere months after elected British MPs used Parliament to push for a new airport in Pakistan, sectarian councillors in London are now running for Parliament. No, not our Parliament, the Bangladeshi Parliament. I'm going to expose the entire farce. Plus,
so there's a battle for the soul of this country now as to what sort of country do we want to be.
Yeah, one without you from the sounds of it, because this Labour government faces yet another massively embarrassing poll, as it's deemed they are now more unpopular than Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. And
right now, fascism crawling at the door, and we say no, we are going to fight back.
Zara Sultana doubles down on her incendiary suggestion that Nigel Farage is akin to Hitler. Darren Grimes is coming on to go head-to-head on whether Farage is indeed a fascist. And
I have a question. Are you new to London?
yes, a brave and outspoken social media star who went viral for confronting people on public transport who were simply causing a nuisance is joining me live in the studio. You won't want to miss that interview, trust me. Also joining me tonight, we have reality TV superstar AJ Pritchard, former Met Police detective Peter Blexley, and author and academic Dr. Lisa McKenzie. And what do you think's going on here? Magic Grandpa's up to some dancing, isn't he? A huge 2 hours coming up. Your Saturday night's just getting started, but let's get your news headlines with Katie Bowen.
Alex, thank you and good evening. The headlines at 9:02, and we start with some breaking news tonight. Multiple people have been stabbed on a train in Huntington, Cambridgeshire. British Transport Police have released the following statement saying, "We are currently responding to an incident on a train to Huntington where multiple people have been stabbed. Officers are in attendance alongside officers from Cambridgeshire Police, and 2 people have been arrested." We'll bring you more on that developing story as it happens throughout the evening. Elsewhere, pressure is building on Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to give evidence before a US congressional committee about his links to the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. It comes just days after the King stripped his brother of his Prince and Duke of York titles. It's reported Andrew is set to receive a six-figure one-off payment to cover his move out of Royal Lodge in Windsor to private accommodation in Sandringham. That's as well as an annual salary thought to be several times higher than his £20,000 a year Navy pension. Andrew denies all of the allegations against him. A 70-year-old man who died after a helicopter crashed into a field near Doncaster has been named as Peter Smith, South Yorkshire Police have said. The pilot of the aircraft, a 41-year-old man, and two other passengers, a 10-year-old boy and a 58-year-old woman, suffered only minor injuries following the incident in Bentley on Thursday morning. Mr Smith's family have shared the following tribute via police, saying he was a beloved husband, father and grandfather. Two more people have been charged over a theft at the Louvre Museum last month, as according to the Paris prosecutor's office. A 38-year-old woman has been charged with complicity in organised theft and criminal conspiracy with a view to committing a crime. A man aged 37 was charged with theft and criminal conspiracy. Both deny any involvement. The first charter flight carrying British citizens back from Jamaica after Hurricane Melissa is set to take off later this evening. Parts of the Caribbean have been left devastated by one of the strongest hurricanes to hit the region, with at least 50 people killed and nearly 500,000 without power. Around 8,000 British nationals are thought to have been on the island, where popular tourist areas such as Montego Bay have been badly hit. The UK has also announced £7.5 million of humanitarian support, including shelter kits and solar-powered lanterns. France has also sent aid, including water treatment equipment, tents, mattresses, hygiene kits and food. And just before I go, a reminder of that breaking news tonight. Multiple people have been stabbed on a train in Huntington, Cambridgeshire. British Transport Police say they are currently responding to an incident where multiple people have been stabbed. Officers are in attendance alongside officers from Cambridgeshire Police, and two people have been arrested. More on that breaking story throughout the evening. Now, though, it's back to Alex.
Welcome to the show. Straight to that breaking news tonight. Multiple people have been stabbed on a train in Huntington, Cambridgeshire. And here to give us the latest on that is our Home and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, what is going on?
Well, we're still trying to get all the facts together on this. It was an incident that unfolded around about 6 o'clock this evening, we're told, on a train in which multiple people, and no firmer number than that, has been put on it. Just that as the description coming from British Transport Police, saying that multiple people have been stabbed. The train pulled into Huntington Station in Cambridgeshire. It is a multi-agency response, as you would imagine. British Transport Police, of course, has primacy for the rail network, but they are being assisted by the local force concerned, which is Cambridgeshire Constabulary. We also have, understandably, with multiple stab wound victims, the ambulance service in attendance as well. What the police have said, British Transport Police, and as I say, it's very sort of scant details so far. They say that we are currently responding to an incident on a train to Huntingdon where multiple people have been stabbed. Officers are in attendance along with Cambridgeshire cops, and two people have been arrested. In terms of where we are, clearly we are in the very early stages of reporting this, so we don't know at this stage what this incident relates to. Of course, everybody, anytime they hear about multiple victims, and especially on a transport network, immediately thinks about terrorism. The police have not said anything to either confirm that it might be terrorism or to dissuade us from going down that path as yet. But the fact that they're saying 2 people have been arrested might mean that at least in terms of the wider threat, there may not be a wider threat. We, as I say, are awaiting further details from British Transport Police, because obviously if there are still suspects or a suspect at large, then that is clearly it's a worrying incident anyway, but it's much more worrying if you don't have all of the suspects accounted for. So British Transport Police, Cambridgeshire Constabulary will know that there is a public appetite to at least get a reassurance that the immediate threat is over, and of course either a confirmation or otherwise of what the motive for what was a multiple stabbing attack on this train in Cambridgeshire, which stopped at Huntington Station.
GB News Home and Security Editor Mark White. Well, thank you very much for bringing us the latest on that. We will stay tuned and keep you posted at home as and when we know more about that developing, very sad story. Before, of course, we will get on to the other, what I think is a scandal of epic proportions this evening, because I think Ed Miliband is at the centre of it all. £52 million of your hard-earned British taxpayer cash has been flushed down the drain on a so-called climate-resilient superhighway in Guyana, South America. And it's coming out of Ed Miliband's climate aid budget. That's right, Guyana. We are partially paying for a massive 75-mile road that rips through the Amazon jungle, and worse yet, nobody will be using it. Well, picture this, a 75-mile stretch of tarmac slicing through the Amazon jungle like a chainsaw through butter. It starts in a dusty mining town called Linden, winds its way past bewildered indigenous villages, and get this, dead ends in a ghost town called Mabura. I'm not exaggerating, we're talking about abandoned bars, rusting hulks of cars, a motel that's clearly seen better days since the dinosaurs roamed the planet, and a population of only 150 people. Well, why is it stopping there? Because guess what? That's where the money ran out. It's only half built. Only 46 miles have been done, and the trickiest bits were still to go. Delays have been piling up and excuses piling up, a little bit like a Labour government, perhaps. Well, the total cost has been 140 million, with our £52 million of British taxpayers gifting to the road. This is yet another one of Ed Miliband's brainchildren after the Tories originally conceived the scheme. Ed had no qualms doubling down on it when it came to Labour being in power. And Ed Miliband, the same bloke that's pushed up your energy bills by hundreds of pounds more a year, and the same man who desperately lectures you on the so-called climate crisis. The same man who is spending your hard-earned cash on a road that literally leads to nowhere and rips down the Amazon jungle along the way. But the scandal isn't over yet, because I've got more. This massive road you're half paying for is reportedly deeply intertwined with Guyana's booming oil sector, led by none other than ExxonMobil, which it stands to gain significantly from the improved infrastructure in the area. The 75-mile highway is positioned as a key link to Guyana's major infrastructural transformation, explicitly tied to oil and gas development, facilitating, of course, easier transportation of equipment, workers and exports to ports like Georgetown. This road will reportedly enhance ExxonMobil's logistics as Guyana's oil boom, now producing over 900,000 barrels daily in some projections, relies heavily on that effective transportation system. Well, Oil Now reports a myriad of benefits from the £140 million project, including job creation in mining and, get this, logging. Of course, critics warn it will accelerate deforestation by opening jungle access for oil support operations. According to a report from The Guardian, construction began on the road in December 2022 amid delays and direct fraud allegations through details of the nature of these claims, such as specific instances of embezzlement or procurement irregularities, remaining limited in public sources, unfortunately. So let me just spell this out to you in really, really simple terms so you can digest all of this. Ed Miliband, The eco-warrior even rivaling Greta Thunberg, who's put your energy bills up by hundreds of pounds by forcing net zero even harder down your throats, the man who claims the world is in a climate crisis, the man who wants to drill oil, doesn't want us to drill oil in our own lands to give us that energy security, that man has given away 52 million quid of your money on a road that leads absolutely nowhere, cuts through the Amazon jungle, supporting mining and logging industries, as well as being a massive support to the oil industry. Oh, and the whole project happens to be embroiled, of course, in allegations of fraud. Well, many of you will forget Ed Miliband's gas-guzzling climate crisis trip to Brazil. And it does make you wonder, doesn't it, that either he knew all of the above, because this road was started in 2022 when he became, of course, Net Zero Secretary in 2024. So how did he, in the civil service, not know about the fraud allegations? How did they not know about the oil industry benefiting from this? It absolutely stinks. It stinks of not just corruption, but complete hypocrisy and a betrayal of the British public. This needs a public inquiry because, frankly, I do not think the Energy Secretary should be allowed to hold high office if he is given the green light to this project amid all the things I've just mentioned. Ed Miliband and this failing Labour government must wind down these insane foreign climate projects and cancel future ones because Britain simply has too many of its own problems to deal with. Let's get the thoughts of my superstar panel tonight. Former Met Police Detective Peter Blexley, reality TV and superstar AJ Pritchard, and author and academic Dr. Lisa McKenzie. Peter, I'll start with you. I mean, I don't know how much more I have to tell you because I think this looks like a complete cover-up and a massive scandal.
There's something about being the leader of the Labour Party and not becoming Prime Minister that sends you a bit bonkers. Right, OK? Look at Neil Kinnock. Yeah. Well, all right. OK, you'll have to look that one up on YouTube, kids, right? But he was a bit unhinged, wasn't he, right?
He was, yeah.
Jeremy Corbyn, more than a bit unhinged. I think we can all agree on that. And now, moribund Miliband, right, who quite clearly, as my late old dad would have said, is off his rocker. Why would we build a road to the benefit of an American giant oil and gas company? Let them build the road so we can keep that 50-odd million so that Starmer can do his favourite thing with it and spend it on illegal immigrants, sticking them in hotels, feeding them and clothing them.
Lisa, I mean, it's completely ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, this is outrageous. Listen, where I'm from the deindustrialised areas of the country, the places that have got no decent jobs, the places that the mining industry was closed, when we go further up north, our oil industries, decent jobs for working class people, that we need this money for our areas and for our people and for our industry. And yet, our money is now going to support yet another for-profit company. Taxpayers' money is going somewhere else again. The deindustrialised North has been devastated over 40 years. I think I think people don't always understand what's happened up there.
Yeah, AJ, the government would argue, of course, they want to support the development of other countries around the world. They want to, they want to build infrastructure.
OK, let's talk about that then. For example, Guyana, they've got a GDP of nearly 26 billion. When you consider from the years, as you say, it started in 2022 to 2024, they had the largest GDP growth globally. Coming out of oil and gas, you've literally built a road from somewhere that goes nowhere to nowhere, and you consider the outsport of that country, where it can go, and the money is criminal. Born in Stoke-on-Trent, 52 million, like as you say, Nottinghamshire, there are so many projects that can really thrive from that money and give it to companies that want to grow. Take a portion of their companies, grow them, stick them on the LSE. That money could really be used. It's being squandered here, and it's upsetting to see. Somebody's paying more and more tax.
Yeah, it is upsetting. Do you know, I feel quite upset about this, actually, because Stoke-on-Trent, Nottinghamshire, the North, we have been starved. And this money, by a Labour government, is going somewhere else to support another for-profit company. This is what happens when socialism is for the rich.
Yeah, well,
and
it's not socialism, is it? It's crony capitalism.
Well, yeah.
Peter, I mean, I can't let the Tories get away with it because they did start this project and they were massive on net zero, weren't they? We just had Boris Johnson, the former Prime Minister, come out and say that Kemi Badenoch is not green enough and is going to lose her in an election.
Yeah, well, perhaps getting a bit unhinged applies to former Conservative Prime Ministers as well. But anyway, I mean, it's the road to nowhere, isn't it? It's absolutely ludicrous in a far-flung land that many of us will never have been to, will never go to, possibly have never heard of. It's just an absolute waste of money. And whilst we're putting the boot into the Tories, which I love to do from time to time, let's just remember, as Conservatives, what did they conserve in this country? Not one jot of anything, I would suggest.
The thing is, for me, guys, is that it's the climate aid stuff as well. I mean, not that I think any aid should be spent abroad during the time in which that we are suffering for a cost of living crisis. There's potholes in roads. We can't even take bins out in Birmingham. You know, that's the bit that gets me. It's this climate aid budget.
But you know what? In Jamaica this week, they've had a Category 5 hurricane. Jamaica has been been part of our country, actually. The King is head of state in Jamaica. We've sent them £5 million.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We're giving them $5 million.
But £5 million for a country that has given us something, and then 58 million to a road to nowhere.
I know it sounds crazy, but I always have this idea in my head. Does it just get put into a bank account, or is there like a business proposal? Because if I want to raise money as a company, I have to put my proposal out, how it's going to be spent, where it's going to go, or is it just like, hey mate, send me the sort code? Yeah. We're just sending it over? Well, how does it go?
The thing is, this is the problem with it, because we'll never really know. This road is only half finished, so all that money's gone. It's gone. It's completely spaffed, isn't it?
I remember the Greens and the climate change activists arguing about this many years ago, actually. So this might be an issue that unites everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it supersedes every party. And I think this is the problem, isn't it, is that we've got to get a grip in this country, because it seems no matter who's in power, is Labour or the Tories, these wasteful projects carry on. Anyway, we'll leave that there. I'm sure there'll be plenty more to talk about this road, if it's ever built, in the future. Hopefully won't be giving any more money to it. And Ed Miliband, if you're watching, it's never too late to come on the show and apologise to the public for this craziness you're doing. Anyway, now it's never too early well, I think it's never too early to think about the festive season. I might just think of that. And how you'd like to spend your Christmas on us this year. Well, that's a good one. That's right, 40k in tax-free cash to have all of your Christmas dreams come true. £1,000 on a spender and a luxurious Christmas lunch, and a Christmas-themed GB News goodie bag under the tree. And the best news of all time is that it's ready for the big day itself. Here's all the details you need to be a festive winner.
We're giving you the chance to win your entire Christmas this year paid for by us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash so you can have a brilliant new year. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, the decorations, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. And the best news? You'll get it all in time for the big day. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, coming up, the Labour government faces yet another massively embarrassing poll. The government is now deemed more unpopular than the beleaguered Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. But next.
Right now, fascism crawling at the door, and we say no, we are going to fight back.
Well, I've got Darren Grimes going head-to-head on Zara Sultana's comments where she claims Nigel Farage is akin to Hitler. Well, that's next. This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Of course, I just want to remind you of that breaking news. At least 2 people have been arrested after multiple people have been stabbed on a train in Cambridgeshire. We will bring you further updates as and when we have them, of course. Stay tuned, and as soon as we know more, we will let you know. OK, in yet another storm of controversy, Coventry South MP Zara Sultana has suggested that Reform UK leader Nigel Farage is comparable to Hitler. In the bombshell interview with BBC's Nick Robinson, Sultana went further, saying Mr Farage and his Reform cronies are committed to peddling racism.
You say you want to stop Nigel Farage. Do you think he's a fascist?
I think Nigel Farage has proven that he is not on the side of working class people.
You're comparing Nigel Farage with Franco, with Mussolini, arguably with Adolf Hitler? Really?
I have legitimate concerns about what a Nigel Farage government would do.
Well, Nigel Farage's team has ridiculed her choice of words and suggested she should go back to school or buy herself a dictionary. So tonight I'm asking, is Nigel Farage really a fascist and a racist? And joining me now, writer and political commentator James Matthewson and Reform UK's Deputy Leader of Durham County Council, Darren Grimes. Thank you for joining me on this important topic, gentlemen. Darren, I'll start with you. Of course, we just played Sultana's comments there. What do you make of those?
Well, Alex, look, I've never heard of this Sultana woman, but I can only assume that she's a brand of Kellogg's, is she? Fruit and Nut? That springs to mind. I think actually she's so far divorced from reality that I don't think any member of the public ought to be taking a single lecture on fascism from a political movement that, quite frankly, has spent under Jeremy Corbyn decades of offering succour and support to every single group or state that that wants to offer the hatred and vilification of Britain and the Western world. You know, they call the man that called the fascist label, the Hitler label, the Mussolini label, whatever else it might be, against Nigel Farage. I see it as being completely absurd for one reason. This is a man who defeated the poisonous element of the anti-Semitic British National Party, the BNP. And the irony is that it's the far left's extremism, Alex, and the far right's hatred that have converged as one. They're merged as one. It's exactly the same hatred within this anti-Jewish stance. And that's what we're seeing play out on the streets of Britain. So I would say this to Miss Sultana: the real danger to our country is the toxic alliance of a coalition of Marxist ideologues, of Islamist extremists, and the woke elites. And far too many, by the way, of James's favourite Labour MPs have far too many sympathies with that very movement.
OK, James, I'll let you take over from here.
Well, Darren's just told a lie. He said he didn't know who Zara Sultana is. Do you want to correct that, Darren?
Well, I think we'll just carry on with the debate, James. What do you make of Darren's comments overall? He might have...
We don't carry on with the debate when he's just lied.
I'm in charge of the debate tonight. We'll let Darren respond in just a second. I'm in charge of the debate, so we will carry on.
We've had the whole point of the conversation is this, and the whole point of the debate is this. Darren and me have talked about Zara Sultana, so for him to open by saying, I don't know who this Sultana woman is a lie. So that needs to be pointed out. Anyway,
I do actually find it quite extraordinary, Alex, that we're not talking about the desensitisation of all the horror that's taken place on our streets, and instead we want to act on pedantry around whether or not I know this Sultana.
You just lied on national TV.
I did not just lie.
Why should anybody believe anything you say from here on out?
James, can we get to the context of the debate? Because I do really want to focus on the debate. Because I think, gentlemen, because I just want to clarify, because I think this debate is really important to the public domain. We do need to talk about what our politicians say. And James, I want you to tell me why you think Darren's comments are wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And Darren is a politician who's just lied, so it's important that we point that out. But moving on from that, Nigel Farage, obviously, Darren's boss, is somebody who many people in the British public have concerns about. I'm not going to talk about Zara Sultana's comments in particular. I don't support Zara Sultana. I don't support her party.
You just said that's what we're here to do.
I don't... What's that?
You just said that's what we're here to do. So get on with it.
We're here to talk about Farage.
Talk about Zara bloody Sultana.
No, we're not. You just do. But I'm amazed you even know who she is now, Darren. But what I'm pointing out is the fact that you're a politician, Darren, and you've just lied on national TV. This is the point. This goes into a narrative of what I'm talking about with Nigel Farage, is that we've got here, when we talk about the word fascism, right, we've got a lot of people on the right of politics in America, in Britain, in the Western world, who take great issue with that term being used, but they're not looking at the definition of that term and what that term points to. And of course, fascists are never going to admit to being fascists. So then when you've got people who like to lie off the cuff like Darren, people like Nigel Farage, who regularly conceal their own opinions about things, then how can people trust and know that they do not believe these things? I mean, the dictionary definition of fascism is a far-right ideology based in nationalism with authoritarian characteristics, right? So when we look at Nigel Farage and his history, his credit as a politician, this is a man who has aspired to be like Enoch Powell. He said he's an inspiration to him. He's an ultra-nationalist who talks about culture war stuff regularly when we know this isn't a reality, most of it. He's appeared on conspiracy theory-driven media such as InfoWars in America, which is now banned. He was on that 6 times. This is a man who will play to the worst parts of our society in the hope of dividing communities to try and gain power for himself. There's no clearer description of what fascism is.
Darren, back to you.
Well, I think you'll find that actually the Italian fascists did declare themselves to be fascists, and that's where it actually, going back to that movement, they very much did. So I'm afraid you need to go back and read your history books. But look, ultimately, I think what I would say to both Sultana and your guest's comments is that we are being desensitized to horror every single week. Every single night on this very channel, there are reports of terrible crimes that are happening at the hands of people who ought not ever have been here. And Reform UK are the only necessary antidote to that crisis. And for many of us, you know, the wake-up call has come loud and clear. The wake-up call for me was Manchester Arena, but everyone will have their wake-up call, and that systemic failure has gotten worse. The savagery that we see now, a quarter of all sexual assault convictions last year were from migrants. Now, that's an official statistic.
Here we go again.
Actually, I think
Here we
all
go
of
with
these
what I was
issues,
talking about.
all of these issues that actually point back to the fact that we are a broken Britain, and there is only one politician actually standing up to that. And for James to dismiss that as culture war topics, by the way, you tell that to every victim in this country that has been murdered because of the fact that your politicians have allowed this to happen to our country.
My
You ought to be
politicians?
damn well
Who are
ashamed
my
of yourself.
politicians?
Okay, gentlemen, unfortunately, we've run out of time. We've run out of time there. I'll have you both back on so we can finish this debate. How about that? I think that the audience would like to see a round two on this one. James Mathewson, political commentator and writer there, of course, with Reform UK's Deputy Leader of Durham County Council, Darren Grimes. OK, heated stuff, isn't it? I'll read out some of your comments from that afterwards. Coming up, a brave and outspoken social media star who went viral for confronting people on public transport who were causing quite a nuisance is joining me live.
I have a question. Are you new to London?
But next, this Labour government continues to face yet more embarrassing polls as it's deemed they are now more unpopular than Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Looking across the southern parts of Europe, and whilst many areas are going to be mostly fine tomorrow, there is a bit of rain around. Across parts of Greece, it's going to be fairly wet, especially towards the west. Also a bit of rain pushing into far northern parts of Italy, some snow over the higher ground. Southern parts of France looking pretty wet as well. And whilst much of Spain and Portugal's looking generally fine tomorrow, as we go into the beginning of next week, there will be some wet weather pushing into western parts of Iberia. See you later.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, good evening. This is your latest GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. We will continue to see the chance of showers for some areas as we head into the second half of the weekend. Even this evening and overnight, we're going to be seeing a band of showery rain spreading its way eastwards, particularly across England and Wales. This has the potential to be heavy at times, maybe with some rumbles of thunder in the mixture as well. There will be some clear spells in between this overnight, and so temperatures will be dipping down into single figures, so a little chilly in places, but quite a breeze still overnight, so not too much in the way of frost as we start off Sunday morning. A band of rain, though, will take its time to clear off the far southeast, so parts of England here will start off Sunday on quite a wet note. There'll be some brighter, sunnier spells coming in for areas further towards the west and north, but for the northwest of Scotland, we're going to see frequent showers beginning to push their way in right throughout the day. Again, heavy at times, rumbles of thunder and even some hail around in some of the heavier showers. They will also be accompanied by squally winds and coastal gales around the most exposed areas of the Outer Hebrides, the Highlands and later on towards the Northern Isles. Temperatures will be a touch down compared to the values that we have seen around today, so generally between 10 and 13 degrees Celsius for most of us, but there will be a decent amount of sunshine in between those scattered showers elsewhere for parts of Northern Ireland, England and Wales, so not faring too badly if you do catch that sunshine. As we move into the new working week, we've got another area of low pressure that's going to head towards us, and quite a moist southwesterly flow from the Atlantic is going to provide a lot of cloud around to start off Monday, and it is going to be quite damp and dreary right throughout. Further showers, longer spells of rain pushing northeastwards, generally the heaviest pulses across western areas, particularly higher ground areas. The further east that you are, you might see a little bit more shelter with a touch of brightness poking through. But those southwesterly winds, whilst very strong, are also going to be bringing in some very mild conditions. Bye.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Of course, just a recap on that breaking news. 2 people have been arrested after multiple people were stabbed on a train to Huntingdon, police have told us. British Transport Police have said we are currently responding to an incident on a train in Huntingdon where multiple people have been stabbed. We will bring you more, and we have footage to bring you shortly, so stay tuned and we will bring that to you as soon as we have it ready. But moving on from there, because new surveys have revealed that the disgraced former Prince Andrew is now more popular than our elected government. The survey conducted by YouGov revealed that Andrew scored a lowly 13% approval rating from the general public, while, get this, the government sits at 12%. Labour's popularity has sunk to great depths following Angela Rayner's resignation over a 40 grand stamp duty error, Rachel Reeves admitting breaking local rules by renting out her 3 grand a month London home without a licence, and criticism of Keir Starmer's team for accepting undeclared gifts. I could go on, really. I could do a whole show, 3 hours of just rattling it all off, couldn't I? Combined with internal rebellions over policy, these controversies have fueled perceptions of disunity and weakened public trust in the government. So, how does the government poll lower than a disgraced Duke, and have now brought back former Labour advisor Paul Richards to do a very good job, as you always do, of defending the government,
yes,
Paul.
Here we go.
How on earth has this happened?
Well, I think the good news is that the Andrew, formerly known as Prince Andrew, is not going to be standing to be Prime Minister anytime soon. So the equivalence between him and Keir Starmer...
Well, he'd go up in the polls, apparently, if he did.
Luckily, is not a confrontation we're going to watch. But if you look at the same YouGov poll, where you put Keir Starmer versus Nigel Farage, for example, as who do you prefer to be Prime Minister, then Keir Starmer is 7 points ahead of Farage.
I don't think in the latest poll he is, actually, by the way, Paul.
Well, the one I've got from is from August. So
OK.
I don't know, it might
well, there's been a more recent one, yeah.
And the same question about Kemi. Yeah, I know we hardly ever talk about her anymore. But anyway, Starmer leads against her as well. So it's not quite as clear as it looks. And the other thing I'd say is that it is midterm. I think the government's doing unpopular things early doors in the hope that things will get better by the election, doing unpopular things that may be the right things to do but not necessarily popular now. And I would say, and I think everyone agrees with this, it's the most amazing moment in politics of flux and fluidity and unusualness, the rise of the Greens, the rise of reform. It's really quite uncharted in that sense. So I'm not surprised that the opinion polls are showing this volatility in the electorate, because that is where we are.
I do just want to bring you the Ipsos poll, unfortunately, just to put down one of your points, because Nigel Farage is now the most favourable politician according to Ipsos. And this is October.
We were talking about you, weren't we?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm just bringing this to attention. And Andy Burnham rates higher than Starmer, and David and Kemi Badenoch and Zach Polanski all rate higher than Keir Starmer now. So look, obviously different polls will say different things.
Sure.
Right? So,
yeah.
So, but do you think there's anything else that might have maybe tipped the public over the edge with the government?
Well, I think ever since 2007, really, since the great global crash, our politics has been up in the air, and governments are having to do unpopular things, and this is no different, really.
Lisa, I can hear you ready to get in. Go on.
That's not the reason people don't like Starmer. It's not the flux. This is about him, what he's done since, and it's not midterm. We're only like 1.5 years in. That's not midterm. 2.5 years is midterm. So no, listen. I live in Nottinghamshire. I live in where the coal miners used to live. They hate him more than they hate Thatcher. That is really some sort of, you've got to be honest about why people dislike him and why they're not happy with Labour.
I'd like to see the evidence for that, to be honest.
Come to my post office.
I would say the evidence.
They do.
Philly, a historic mining town that just completely booted Labour out.
My dad is
I'm sure some of them.
My dad is a.
All like.
No, this is where I am.
AJ, why do you think Keir Starmer's Labour government? We're talking about the government here, by the way, is now more unpopular than the beleaguered prince?
I think, well, to us, 12 and 13% both are pretty dreadful and quite awful. If you're going to talk to a percentage of people, I would love to know the exact percentage of how many people that is taken on. But when you consider, let's take Keir's Instagram, 722,000 people follow him. Let's see how many people actually really like him within that. You've got 70 million people within the UK. I think the people really just want to know what somebody stands for. It's like that social media thing that's going around right now, when somebody's too good at PR trained and they say absolutely nothing for no reason, no point. You don't know what the person really wants. Yes, we're seeing so much. It is a big brother state. But really, like, can you talk about the things that are affecting people really right now? You talk about the larger scale of big things, but really, like, if my fiance's walking back from work, I'd be like, actually put your phone away because I feel like you're probably going to get stolen. If it's dark at night, do not walk through the park. Make sure you get an Uber or you can get the underground. And to be honest, don't get the underground because you're probably going to get stabbed in central London. And it's so upsetting seeing this every single day. And the government, the wider picture, speaks so much about politics that the normal people feel like they're not even being thought about. And it's really upsetting.
I'm glad to say that the number of Instagram followers is not the way we elect a Prime Minister, thank God. It's not, that is not a good judgment of how many people...
how do you win an election?
Level of,
through votes?
Yeah, by talking to people and mostly by delivery, which is why I say getting the unpopular decisions now around the economy, the big trade deals, the things that will lead to success down the line now.
Oh, beautiful, then, big trade deals. But let's say I've got a fintech company and we want to grow. Most of my people at my age have left the country.
Most of the people your age have left the country.
That want to build companies and show growth within the UK.
It's kind of like Lisa, you can't just say
he's not wrong.
All right, I'll say I'll say something.
Because they want prosperity.
Peter Blex's very patient over there, and he's going to explode if I don't give him a chance to talk. Go on, Peter.
If we're going to talk about this government, I need another slug of vodka.
Because also, we've got...
Right, 9 million people voted for Paul's government, OK? Many of them voted just to get the Tories out. So they weren't wedded, I believe, to the idea of Labour's manifesto. The reason he's so unpopular so quickly is because all of those people expected better. And look what we've got. An absolute shower.
But I think that speaks to a really strong desire for change. I think that's right. People wanted to get rid of the last lot. They wanted something different. We haven't got it yet, and that's why there is the frustration within the system.
We've got tax dodgers.
But it's a 5-year government, and it has to be judged on actions, not words, in the election in 4 years' time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, what's that? Oh, another load of dingies. Yeah, there's your action.
All right. No, I'd love to know one positive thing you think's a real positive action that's helping move forward and is going to get more votes from you personally.
Well, what about the increase in the national minimum wage, putting money in the pockets of some of the lowest paid
We're going to have to... And then increasing national insurance hikes so we can't hire more people to work for our company.
I'm going to have to leave it there because there's so much... We will talk more about this, I'm sure, throughout the show. But unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. We'll have a quick break and I'm going to bring you more on that breaking news, of course, tonight. Join me in just a tick.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here to GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Straight back to that breaking news tonight. A man has been taken to hospital with serious injuries after multiple people have been stabbed on a train in Huntington, Cambridgeshire, of course. And we've got some new footage to show you that we believe is from the scene. The latest, of course, is going to come from our security and home editor, Mark White. Mark, bring us up to speed, please, on this breaking story.
Yeah, well, let's Alex take a look at that video just received by GB News from a user on TikTok on scene as this incident was unfolding. You can see emergency services arriving there, huge emergency service response, and then looking down on the platform itself at Huntingdon Station and that LNER train in at the platform there. With, as I say, a very significant emergency service response, not just the police, but lots of ambulances, paramedics there because of the fact that there are multiple people injured. And armed police, you can see very clearly, they're running up the platform further down the train to the carriages that are further down the train from which we assume is the front end of the train that is visible there. What we are told by British Transport Police, who put out a statement a short time ago, is that this incident unfolded about 20 to 8 this evening. They confirmed that 2 people have been arrested. Cambridgeshire Constabulary, who are assisting BTP, obviously, as it's happening on the transport network. British Transport Police takes primacy for this, but Cambridgeshire Police are in their very significant numbers. Their armed response units assisting here as well. They have said that multiple people have been taken to hospital after this stabbing incident. So they're the latest video coming in, very dramatic scenes of many emergency services on the scene dealing with this incident. The services through Huntingdon are suspended at the moment, and the main line services, LNER, Thameslink, telling customers to check before travelling tonight.
GB News Home security editor there, Mark White. Thank you for bringing the latest to us. We will stay tuned, of course, as I'm sure more will happen and we will hear more over the night. OK, well, we've all been there before, haven't we, on a crammed bus or train just trying to get home when someone decides the whole carriage needs to hear their new playlist or phone call. Have a listen to this.
I have a question. Are you new to London? Yeah. You new to London? Yeah. How many years, months? I think for 7 months. Oh, that's brilliant. So I just wanted to ask, I heard your music, like cool South Asian music, is that right? Yeah. It's just like in London generally we don't play the music out loud on the like trains and things. But I love a bit of Bollywood, I do.
Well, the brave lady herself, Hannah, is joining me in the studio. Hannah, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Why do you approach people that play their music out loud or have disruptive nuisance calls on the train?
So the reason I did it is because it happens way too often on public transport. It used to just be here and there, on a bus here or a train there, but it's now every single train, it's every single bus, and we need to say something about it as opposed to kind of quietly being frustrated and resentful, when really maybe they just don't know, because maybe they come from a place where they don't, or they do play their music out loud. But in London, they need to know that we don't play out loud.
Because many people, I mean, I was sitting next to a bloke yesterday, he was blasting his music out and it was so annoying, but I'm so British, I didn't say anything, right? Should more people speak up, or do you think TfL need to do a new campaign about it?
So, I would say that's the thing with politeness and British culture. It's a wonderful thing until it's not. And because you can't enforce it, right, because then it becomes impolite. And then it's like, you don't want to say anything. This is where ideally, I wouldn't have to say anything like this. But we do have to speak out, and TfL did launch a campaign. Did you know about this?
No. I sort of heard about it. Go on.
So what happened was, less than 2 weeks after I went viral, so it was like about 4 million across all the socials, TfL announced a campaign saying that we're going to put adverts on the tubes telling people to plug their headphones in.
And how did that go down?
I just found out one day. Somebody just sent it to me, and I said, no, this couldn't be me. But the timing adds up. It was 2 weeks after we went viral, and nobody said anything up until now. So I'm taking credit for this.
Well, I want to see more people like you, Hannah. I want to see more citizens stand up and say enough is enough. I think we need an army of citizens. Listen, Hannah, I want you to come back on the show and talk more to me soon about this, and keep doing the hard work that you're doing. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but we've got loads more coming up on the show, including very interesting news about sectarians who are running for office in Bangladesh, but will happen to be councillors here in London too. See you shortly.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. This is your latest GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. We will continue to see the chance of showers for some areas as we head into the second half of the weekend. Even this evening and overnight, we're going to be seeing a band of showery rain spreading its way eastwards, particularly across England and Wales. This has the potential to be heavy at times, maybe with some rumbles of thunder in the mixture as well. There will be some clear spells in between this overnight, and so temperatures will be dipping down into single figures, so a little chilly in places, but quite a breeze still overnight, so not too much in the way of frost as we start off Sunday morning. A band of rain, though, will take its time to clear off the far south-east, so parts of England here will start off Sunday on quite a wet note. There'll be some brighter, sunnier spells coming in for areas further towards the west and north, but for the northwest of Scotland, we're going to see frequent showers beginning to push their way in right throughout the day. Again, heavy at times, rumbles of thunder and even some hail around in some of the heavier showers. They will also be accompanied by squally winds and coastal gales around the most exposed areas of the Outer Hebrides, the Highlands and later on towards the Northern Isles. Temperatures will be a touch down compared to the values that we have seen around today, so generally between 10 and 13 degrees Celsius for most of us, but there will be a decent amount of sunshine in between those scattered showers elsewhere for parts of Northern Ireland, England and Wales, so not faring too badly if you do catch that sunshine. As we move into the new working week, we've got another area of low pressure that's going to head towards us, and quite a moist southwesterly flow from the Atlantic is going to provide a lot of cloud around to start off Monday, and it is going to be quite damp and dreary right throughout. Further showers, longer spells of rain pushing northeastwards. Generally, the heaviest pulses across western areas, particularly higher ground areas. The further east that you are, you might see a little bit more shelter with a touch of brightness poking through. But those southwesterly winds, whilst very strong, are also going to be bringing in some very mild conditions. Bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Wake
could be delivering the perfect Christmas to you this year. There's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 the best year yet. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family. There's £1,000 to spend in your favourite supermarket. And a festively themed GB News goodie bag, and we'll get it all to you in time for the big day. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as
I and now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, it's 10 p.m. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight,
I shared on social media the work I and colleagues across the two houses have been doing to urge the government of Pakistan to build an international airport at Mirpur.
well, mere months after elected British MPs used Parliament to push for a new airport in Pakistan, sectarian councillors in London are now running for Parliament. Nope, not our Parliament, the Bangladeshi Parliament. I'm going to expose this whole farce. Plus, yes, that is, of course, breaking footage. We believe from the scene of that breaking news tonight, multiple people may have been stabbed in Cambridgeshire. We will, of course, keep you posted. And joining me to discuss all these breaking topics tonight is superstar AJ Pritchard, former Met Police detective Peter Blexley, and author and academic Dr. Lisa McKenzie. And what do you think's going on here? Well, a huge 2 hours coming up, and your Saturday night, of course, is just getting started. And I want to talk to you first about something that really caught my eye this week, because I believe we must ban first-generation migrants from holding any public office in this country. Enough is enough. Because this week, the Standard revealed that sectarian Tower Hamlets councillors are seeking election to Parliament. And no, not the British Parliament, the Parliament in Bangladesh. We have allowed our political system to be hijacked by those whose hearts and loyalties lie not in the green fields of England, but in the dusty streets of Dhaka or the bazaars of Mirpur. Tower Hamlets, that great and lauded example of integration and diversity, the same place that only last weekend saw masked Muslim men, some reportedly with bats, thousands of whom showed up at a counter-protest in the London Borough, where councillors like Sabina Khan and Ohid Ahmed are jetting off to Bangladesh. And they're schmoozing for seats in their foreign parliament, while our streets back home choke on potholes and neglect. These candidates for the ironically named BNP, you can't make it up, the Bangladeshi Nationalist Party, are councillors for the Aspire Party, headed up by Bangladeshi-born Lutfur Rahman, a man who was previously struck off as a solicitor and removed as mayor of the borough 7 years ago. Well, he was sensationally stripped from power after a specialist court found him guilty of vote rigging and religious intimidation, which resulted in the 2014 local elections being completely annulled. The election court in 2015 heard Mr Rahman made false statements about his rival Labour's John Biggs, administered council grants in a way that constituted electoral bribery and spiritually intimidated voters. Many said Rahman became a victim of a racist witch hunt led by a political establishment who could not stand to see a Muslim socialist in power. Now, somehow, since all these allegations began, he has been re-elected to mayor and runs the, quote, toxic council, a damning report this year has found. So, is it any surprise to you that several Tower Hamlets councillors and Aspire Party councillors have confirmed they intend to seek nominations to run in Bangladesh's national election in February 2026? Well, Sabina Khan, one of those councillors, is of course running for the Bangladeshi National Party. Ms Khan was elected for Labour in Mile End in 2022, but defected to the borough's ruling Aspire Party last year. Well, Khan holds an important role in Tower Hamlets Town Hall. She's part of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee and Licensing Committees, but since February, she's attended fewer than half of the meetings she was expected at, according to council records. And social media posts suggest she's been campaigning in Bangladesh. And it's not just Aspire candidates, though. Independent councillor Ohid Ahmed, who represents Lansbury Ward in Poplar, is also understood to have been campaigning to become a BNP candidate, Bangladeshi National Party, just to get that right. And get this, the report by the Standard suggests that Ahmed is complaining about potholes in Bangladesh. You cannot make it up, can you? The Mile End resident Mohammed Hussain has told the Standard this: I don't believe it's fair. Most of the time she is in Bangladesh. She should resign. We elected her to represent us, not Bangladesh. Hear, hear. But don't just take Tower Hamlets as the canary in the coal mine. This sectarian poison has metastasised right into the heart of our very own parliament. Look at Ayub Khan and Tahir Ali, self-proclaimed independent MPs, the poster boys for sectarianism in our halls of power. Well, Ayub Khan was not content with denying the horrors of the Pakistani rape gangs as some false, far-right-wing narrative. No, he's out there with Tahir Ali championing that gleaming new international airport in Mirpur, Pakistan.
I shared on social media the work I and colleagues across the two houses have been doing to urge the government of Pakistan to build an international airport at Mirpur.
Of course, not to mention Khan's support for first cousin marriages. In my opinion, these men are not MPs for the British people. They are lobbyists for Lahore and panderers for Palestine. Sectarian agitators who'd rather build runways in the Raj than fix the rubbish piling up in their own streets. Enough is enough. It really is. We have bent over backwards for multiculturalism, only to watch it curdle into a cocktail of divided loyalties and ethnic fiefdoms. Tower Hamlets under Lufta Rahman is already a byword for cronyism and foreign meddling. Government envoys are currently sniffing around there again because decision-making is dominated by an inner circle of expatriate power brokers. Our laws, by the way, do not prohibit candidates running for office in other countries, nor from holding office in another country. Why? Because it's not been a problem in our country before, has it? That's before mass immigration from cultures and countries that simply, in my opinion, will never integrate with British people and do not care about our country or many of the places they might represent. We have to, at this point in time, really consider banning first-generation immigrants from holding office in this country. I've just got a couple of rights of replies to read you here. Ohid Ahmed, who is a councillor campaigning to become an MP in Bangladesh, told us, as a long-serving public representative, I take my responsibilities to the council and my constituents extremely seriously. My involvement in Bangladesh politics is entirely separate from my council duties and conducted in a personal capacity outside of council time. For clarity, I have already confirmed that I will not be seeking re-election next May and will retire from local government after more than 2 decades of continuous service. We also contacted Mayor Lufta Rahman, Councillors Sabina Khan, Tahir Ali and Ayub Khan MPs. As of tonight, they have not yet responded. And before we talk about this topic with my superstar panel, we're going to go back to that breaking news tonight after multiple people have been stabbed on a train in Huntington, Cambridgeshire, beg your pardon. Of course, we've got new footage to show you. Joining me now is our Home and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, please bring us up to scratch on the latest after we've seen that footage emerge.
Well, listen, we were clear, I think, from the images that we saw and the reports coming through that this was a very serious incident indeed, and now confirmation in a statement from the Prime Minister of just how deeply concerned he is about this. He has just posted, the appalling incident on a train near Huntingdon is deeply concerning. My thoughts are with all those affected. And my thanks go to the emergency services for their response. He concludes by saying anyone in the area should follow the advice of the police. And of course, the advice of the police is to stay away from the immediate area. Anyone with any information, though, is asked to come forward. And the train services through that area in Cambridgeshire and Huntingdon, that would be LNER, Thameslink, are telling passengers to check with them before travelling because of severe disruption. Images you can see from a TikTok user showing armed police running down the platform, down the side of this LNER train to the carriages where this stabbing happened. All we've got at this stage is that multiple people have been stabbed, and according to Cambridgeshire Police, a number of people have now been taken to hospital, but we don't have any indication yet about the condition that those that have been stabbed are in. What we don't know as well at this stage, of course, anytime we hear that there are multiple victims involved in any kind of an attack, immediately people's minds turn to terrorism, especially if it's on the transport system. There is nothing yet from British Transport Police, Cambridgeshire Police, or even in the Prime Minister's statement there to say that they believe that this may be a terrorist incident, but clearly it's a very concerning incident. It is an attack, multiple stabbing with multiple victims, and you can just see, of course, by the number of emergency services on the scene, this has been declared a major incident.
Indeed it has. Thank you very much for joining us, Mark White there, GB News Home and Security Editor. We will bring you more, of course, as we hear it. Let's go back to what we were discussing before, because, you know, I think, Peter, this is an outrage that there are people in this country who are elected to office that are now not representing their citizens, I think. They're flying off to Bangladesh to campaign for national parliament.
Such are the joys of the Muslim bloc vote. These are the kind of things that stem from having communities crammed together, not integrated into British society, British life, British values, British customs, represented by people whose greater interests lie in countries thousands of miles away than they do here. There's a very simple way that could be effectively done next week, and that is a one-line law to be hurriedly rushed through Parliament that says anybody publicly elected to office in the UK cannot run for office in any other foreign jurisdiction. One line, pass it through Parliament, next week, universally accepted, it's on the statute book, and it'll stop many aspects of that story.
Just say, because of course some Muslims would of course disagree with what's happening here, and not all Muslims are bloc voters, are they? We all know that. I know you know that, Peter, as well.
But we know they appeal for that.
Yeah, of
bloc
course,
vote.
there's totally a sectarian vote in this country. I've been saying it time and time again. Lisa, because this is a problem, isn't it? We've never had to... The reason why law doesn't exist is because we've never had to worry about it before, but sectarianism is clearly on the rise.
No, it definitely is. I lived in Tower Hamlets around the Rahman scandals in 2015, and one of the scandals around that was the way that the mosques were sort of encouraging their parishioners, the people who visited the mosque, to vote in particular ways. And because, as Peter's right, they do block vote.
Yes, indeed. AJ, because, listen, I don't think anyone in this country should have office and campaign abroad for another country. I think it's completely bonkers. I don't care whether you're from France, Germany, Bangladesh, India. It shouldn't happen, should it?
Peter said it perfectly, and yourself. We didn't have these laws in place because it wouldn't have affected us back then. Now, we need that law in place to make it very clean and simple. If you're serving here, you're serving here, you can't serve somewhere else.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Peter, listen, it says something about the state of our country, doesn't it? We've got elected members of Parliament campaigning for a new airport in Kashmir, a new airport, and yet and places, homes in Dubai was another place that Ayub Khan was talking about. There's something wrong with that, in my opinion, because we've got a lot of problems in this country. Birmingham's got bins still piling up.
There are fundamental problems, not only with this government, but with independent MPs that, as you point out, have greater interests in far-flung lands than they do over here. Quite how we're going to tackle that, I don't know, because the integration that so many speak about, the diversity is our strength kind of nonsense that gets trolled out by people who actually are simply not telling the truth with regards to certain communities. Diversity is great in some regards. All those people that came to this country and integrated many decades ago. While I'm talking about such people, let me mention Govinda Johal, okay? Slaughtered, knifed to death when he went to the bank in Derby by a Somalian who came to this country on a dinghy in October last year. Habi Nur, his name is, right? Had committed plenty of offences in other countries, including Italy, gets on a boat, comes here and slaughters Govinda in the bank while he is taking the takings from his chicken restaurant and business, successful, contributing man, father of 3 young children, okay? This is the murderous migrant of the week. We did another one last week, right? That's the one this week. Absolutely appalling. Shouldn't even be in this country. And when the 2 Derby MPs are saying violence on our streets is unacceptable, I'll tell them what's unacceptable. People like Noor being in the country. Yeah, that's what's unacceptable.
Totally agree with you, Peter. And I think that my big worry, Lisa, sorry to come back to you on this, my big worry is that if we don't have politicians who are brave enough, and listen, I'm trying to get a story together on there are a group of Muslims in this country who are trying to fight back against these people who have had enough of it themselves because they're getting grouped into it. We will do a story on that, and then some of them are hopefully going to come into the studio and talk about how upset they are about this, because they feel they are ruining it for everybody else in this country.
Yeah, because this is what we're moving in this sectarian direction, which is, and also people they're voting clanishly. So the Bangladeshis in Tower Hamlets probably aren't going to vote the same as the Pakistanis in Birmingham. So these are extremely sectarian, where they won't even agree with each other. So what we need really is we've got to go back to basics with politics. Politicians have got to to represent the people who voted for them.
Do you support my idea of a ban for immigrants in the country? Like, I don't believe people who've moved to Britain should be allowed to hold office here. And
No.
of course, I know that would exclude a lot of people, some people currently in Parliament.
Yeah.
But I think there's something about being born in your country, perhaps, that will make you less likely to want to fly to somewhere else and represent some other country.
No, because I'm going to tell you why. Half of my family are Jamaican, and they came here 50, 60 years ago. They are extremely proud of being British, and you know, they shouldn't be excluded because they're part in the makeup of our country. So I don't think that, but I do think that you cannot stand for election in another country if you are already an elected official here. That is mad.
Yeah, AJ, I think my worry is that British people are getting very fed up with British politics. They are at their wits' end. You look at the polls for every major political party in this country, they are in the gutter, and that says there's a massive dissatisfaction in Britain to me. And it doesn't just like twist the knife a little bit more when you see people flying off to other countries to campaign for a completely different country's national elections.
I think it comes down to, as we were talking about before, we're very British. We don't like to say anything. We don't want to step on people's toes.
Yeah.
But it gets to a point where you've got to be like, this is common sense now, surely. Yeah. Like, you can't allow people to represent themselves in... It'll be one country. They'll be doing it multiple times now. Yeah. And that's the thing, it gets out of control. Yeah. And really, it's quite a simple thing. And I love to believe in common sense, even though it doesn't seem to be common sense anymore. But please, this is surely common sense to put it through Parliament, as you said, create that law. It's simple then.
Yeah. There is something far, far greater and much more important than dissatisfaction, as you mention it, right? What's happening in this country amongst many, many people is fear. People in the UK are living in fear. Fear of crime for themselves, fear of the future for their children and their grandchildren.
Very true.
And that fear stems from a lack of integration. Thousands of masked up, hooded men clad in black marching around the streets of Tower Hamlets. Imams and others going on to social media and such like, saying that they've come here to take over and not to integrate, and much, much more that I could talk about all night. Yeah. This nation, in so many regards, has its people gripped by fear.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Peter, and we will not stop talking about it because we want to give the British people a new voice that hasn't been given, I would say, for a very, very long time on your airwaves. Anyway, moving on, a bit of a U-turn here because it's never too early to think about the festive season, is it? How would you like your Christmas on us this year? That's right, 40 grand in tax-free cash to have your Christmas of your dreams. 1 grand to spend on a luxurious Christmas lunch and a Christmas-themed GB News goodie bag for under the tree. And the best news is you'll get it in time for the big day. Here's all the details.
We're giving you the chance to win your entire Christmas this year paid for by us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash so you can have a brilliant new year. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, the decorations, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. And the best news? You'll get it all in time for the big day. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
OK, coming up, we'll have more developments from the multiple stabbings on a Cambridgeshire train as we get them throughout the night, so please stay tuned. But first, I have another incredible scandal I think is about to arise because we're joined by former NATO commander Rear Admiral Chris Parry, who brings us shocking reports about Chinese militias that may have their eyes on the Chagos Island. He's next. Don't move a muscle.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11 only on GB News.
They've completely refigured the inside of this theatre. So the stalls have been made into sort of tiered stadium seating. It's in the round. They've built seats and a balcony at the back as well.
In the Old Vic?
In the Old Vic. Absolutely. So this is a huge amount of effort's gone into this. Yep. Susan Sarandon, 79, Oscar winner. I have to say, superb, vivid.
Thelma and Louise.
Absolutely, and I love what she was doing here. People aren't always. This is her UK stage debut.
Extraordinary.
Completely convincing, beautiful, nuanced. It's got Andrea Riseborough, incredible actress. Eleanor Worthington Cox, who I love, who was in Next to Normal, but won an Olivier as a kid for Matilda. So this is Mary Page Marlowe. We've got 5 actresses playing the same woman through different times in her life, backwards and forwards through time. And we have got the playwright, Tracy Letts, giving us a little insight into what he was trying to do with the play.
What are the 11 scenes you would choose to illustrate your life, to tell you who you are?
I watched some clips of people in America talking about it when it first came out, curious to see if I was missing something. And they talked about, it's a puzzle, how would you put your life in 11 scenes? And one of the people on the video mentioned it's a bit like a quilt, which always makes me groan a bit, because there's a quilt at the start of the stage. This makes me groan.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, Susan Sarandon at the end, and she's great all the way through, her final sort of big moving speech is she's taken a quilt into a dry cleaner and she starts talking about it, and it's different panels, like different bits of her life, and one panel that she loves most has a woman slightly turned away, bit mysterious. Who is she, Michael? What happened in her? And I just cringed, and I've seen a lot of 3-star reviews, which for me is just polite.
The People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, of course. We will bring you more on that breaking story as soon as we can report more for you. Mark White will bring us the latest, of course. Moving on, though, the UK's controversial deal to hand the Chagos Islands over to Mauritius, with the deal worth a total of $3.4 billion, and some range up to $40 billion. The decision by the Labour government caused outrage at the time, but tonight we bring you a shocking exclusive development with reports that there is a Chinese militia operating in the outer islands of Chagos on board vessels marked as Mauritian. I'm now very, very pleased to bring former NATO commander Rear Admiral Chris Parry to the show. Chris, first of all, thank you very much for joining us tonight to talk about this, what I think is a very critical story for this ongoing, well, I think it's a massive ongoing scandal of British sovereignty. Chris, tell us what you've heard.
Well, the fact of life is that the Mauritians are saying basically they can't cope with actually patrolling the rest of the Chagos Islands. Right at the centre of it is Diego Garcia, which is this phenomenally good air and sea base in the middle of the Indian Ocean. But the Mauritians are not able to patrol essentially what is a group of islands that spreads over 1,500 miles. And the rumour, and it is only a rumour, Alex, is that they're going to ask the Chinese to come in and help. And typically what the Chinese do in the South China Sea and other places is they employ fishing boats that don't really do any fishing. They employ their maritime militia, which is a paramilitary force that goes around in these fishing boats, normally in large numbers, and sort of swamps the area in which they're operating. And of course, it keeps other people away as well. It's also significant, Alex, that the Mauritians are talking to the Russians about doing oceanographic and other surveys in the region. They're rather jumping the gun. They haven't got the place yet. And of course, as you said, it's a massive scandal. There's no reason legally why we have to hand over these islands. Still less do we have to pay a massive amount of money for it. I was saying to somebody today that it only cost us $2 billion to recapture the Falklands. And yet we're giving away up to 37 billion to Mauritius and, of course, indirectly to China, because it's paying off Mauritian debts, so that our UK Labour government can solve its conscience and obviously project vanity.
Yes, because Chris, it was only a few days ago that we had officials claiming that I had actually had Robert Midgley, a friend of the Overseas Territories, a fantastic, incredible analyst as well, on the show, was talking about potential other countries like India getting land in part of the Mauritian Chagos Islands. The government and officials have said these ideas are completely pie in the sky. How much say would we have, even if Mauritius now decided they wanted to give away parts of those lands near our military base?
Well, possession is 9/10 of the law, isn't it? And once they've got their hands on them, they haven't got them yet, to be fair. You've got a vote in the Lords coming up this Thursday, and I hope the Lords are going to turn this down and send it back to the government and the Commons. But the fact of life is there's nothing to stop them. And if the Mauritians say, look, we need protection from the US and Britain to establish our sovereignty, there's no reason why they can't call in the Indians, the Chinese, or anybody else they feel like it.
And Chris, how much of a threat to our national security would it be if China and India and other major superpowers now, because India is a superpower, we forget to say that very often, but they are becoming a massive superpower, how much of a threat to our national security would that be?
Well, I mean, what you have to bear in mind, I think everybody knows this by now, Alex, is that if you wanted to put a strategic base that linked the greater Middle East to the Indo-Pacific in any place, it would be right bang where Diego Garcia is. And the islands around it, which are largely uninhabited, can be exploited by powers that are either hostile or indeed indifferent to the interests of Britain and the United States. So why we would give these islands away is beyond me. It's probably the biggest strategic mistake I've seen in my lifetime.
Incredible stuff. Chris Parry, former NATO commander and Rear Admiral. Please come back and tell us more if you hear any more news. And thank you so much for joining us to talk about this, a very important topic to our national security. Thank you, Chris. OK, back to that breaking news tonight after multiple people have been stabbed on a train in Huntington, Cambridgeshire. Well, joining me now is our Home and Security. Mark White will be joining us just after the break. We will bring you footage and many others, many more, of as much as develops throughout the evening. We will be staying with this story. Come and join us in just a tick.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Looking across the southern parts of Europe, and whilst many areas are going to be mostly fine tomorrow, there is a bit of rain around. Across parts of Greece, it's going to be fairly wet, especially towards the west. Also a bit of rain pushing into far northern parts of Italy, some snow over the higher ground. Southern parts of France looking pretty wet as well. And whilst much of Spain and Portugal's looking generally fine tomorrow, as we go into the beginning of next week, there will be some wet weather pushing into western parts of Iberia. See you later.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello there, good evening. This is your latest GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. We will continue to see the chance of showers for some areas as we head into the second half of the weekend. Even this evening and overnight, we're going to be seeing a band of showery rain spreading its way eastwards, particularly across England and Wales. This has the potential to be heavy at times, maybe with some rumbles of thunder in the mixture as well. There will be some clear spells in between this overnight, and so temperatures will be dipping down into single figures, so a little chilly in places, but quite a breeze still overnight, so not too much in the way of frost as we start off Sunday morning. A band of rain, though, will take its time to clear off the far southeast, so parts of England here will start off Sunday on quite a wet note. There'll be some brighter, sunnier spells coming in for areas further towards the west and north, but for the northwest of Scotland, we're going to see frequent showers beginning to push their way in right throughout the day. Again, heavy at times, rumbles of thunder and even some hail around in some of the heavier showers. They will also be accompanied by squally winds and coastal gales around the most exposed areas of the Outer Hebrides, the Highlands and later on towards the Northern Isles. Temperatures will be a touch down compared to the values that we have seen around today, so generally between 10 and 13 degrees Celsius for most of us. But there will be a decent amount of sunshine in between those scattered showers elsewhere for parts of Northern Ireland, England and Wales, so not faring too badly if you do catch that sunshine. As we move into the new working week, we've got another area of low pressure that's going to head towards us, and quite a moist southwesterly flow from the Atlantic is going to provide a lot of cloud around to start off Monday, and it is going to be quite damp and dreary right throughout. Further showers, longer spells of rain pushing northeastwards. Generally, the heaviest pulses across western areas, particularly higher ground areas. The further east that you are, you might see a little bit more shelter with a touch of brightness poking through. But those southwesterly winds, whilst very strong, are also going to be bringing in some very mild conditions. Bye.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
OK, I'm going to take you straight back to that breaking news tonight after multiple people have been stabbed on a train in Huntingdon, Cambridgeshire. And joining me now to discuss the latest is Home and Security Editor Mark White. Mark, what's been happening?
Well, some statements coming through as we share the video with you. Dramatic video shot by a TikTok user at the scene as this incident was unfolding after this LNER train pulled into the station at Huntingdon in Cambridgeshire. We've had now statements from the Prime Minister, from the Home Secretary and also from the Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, the Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick. You can see the statement from Sir Keir Starmer there saying the appalling incident on a train near Huntingdon is deeply concerning. My thoughts are with all those affected and my thanks go to the emergency services for their response. Anyone in the area should follow the advice of the police. That statement from Robert Jenrick, you can see it's up on your screen, saying sickening news about the attack on passengers on the train in Cambridgeshire. I'm praying for all those who have been injured. Thank you to the police and the emergency services who are responding tonight. And then we've also received a statement from the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. Now, in that statement, she says, I'm deeply saddened to hear about the stabbings in Huntingdon. My thoughts go out to all of those affected. 2 suspects have been immediately arrested and taken into custody. I'm receiving regular updates on the investigation. And she finishes by saying, I urge people to avoid comment and speculation at this early stage. The difficulty with that last line is, of course, people are going to comment and they are going to speculate in the absence of any firm indication as to what exactly happened here, as to whether this was, as some kind of a fight, a criminal act, or whether, as is uppermost in everyone's mind at this time, it could have been a terrorist attack. Being on the transport system, involving multiple people, that clearly springs to mind. But we've not had any indication one way or the other. But I would just say, to get the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary commenting late on a Saturday night is an indication, at least, how seriously they are treating this situation and the news that they are receiving. We should say as well that we've been receiving information that's come through from the East Ambulance Service, and they say, I'll just read this out to you, hopefully we can continue to show you those images from the scene at Huntingdon, the dramatic images of the incident unfolding as captured by that TikTok user. The statement from the East Ambulance Service says, "We were called at 7:38 to reports that multiple people had been stabbed on a train. We mobilised a large-scale response to Huntingdon Railway Station, which included numerous ambulances, tactical commanders, our hazardous area response team and critical care teams, including the East Anglian Air Ambulance, Essex and Hearts Air Ambulance, and Magbas Air Ambulance as well." So confirmation for them, the East Ambulance Service, that 3 air ambulances, along with a very significant number of other paramedic and medic resources, attended that scene. They say that we can confirm we have transported multiple patients to hospital and that they will issue further updates when they get them. So we're still, as I say, looking for some key answers to exactly what unfolded here. It's obvious from what we're seeing that it was a very serious incident. It involved multiple people, a significant number of people who were stabbed within either one or more train carriages of this LNER train. We're told as well that it was the LNER service, the 1835 from Hull down to King's Cross, that would have been arriving at about 9:15 this evening into King's Cross, but of course now is stationary on that platform in Huntingdon instead, as the of course, emergency services deal with the aftermath of what has happened there, and then it will be a more protracted investigation as the forensic teams get on board to then start piecing together as much as they can in terms of the forensics, giving them a better picture of what happened where. They will be aided by the fact, I'm sure, that the vast majority of these train carriages, unless there's some kind of technical malfunction, do have CCTV cameras in them now. That is something that is widespread throughout the rail network over the last decade or so. So that will certainly help authorities going forward. I should say, with regard to the wider threat and any arrests, British Transport Police confirmed that 2 people had been arrested. Now, eyewitnesses are reported to have spoken about one person that they saw being arrested on the platform carrying what has been described as a large knife. One report suggests that this individual had been tasered and then arrested by police on the platform. We need confirmation of that. Of course, with these unfolding incidents, what you hear from one person can snowball, and sometimes the reports don't necessarily stand the test of time in terms of their accuracy. That's not to blame anyone. That's fully understandable in incidents like this. They are fast moving, they are traumatic and scary for people. Sometimes the recollections of what they see or what they hear secondhand from somewhere else might mean that they differ. But I mean, what we can say for sure is that this has been clearly declared a major incident. You have British Transport Police leading leading this response, but being assisted by Cambridgeshire Constabulary with many armed assets on scene. A very significant response, as you heard me read out there, from the local area ambulance service in terms of the paramedics and medics they've sent, and also, of course, of the air ambulances, 3 at last count in terms of the response from those air assets. So that gives you, I think, an indication of the number of casualties that we're dealing with here.
It certainly does. Extremely worrying stuff. Thank you so much for joining me. It's our Home and Security Editor, Mark Weiss. I'm sure we'll hear more as it develops. Thank you, Mark. I'm going to talk about this with my panel here. I just want to repeat the words of the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, who has said this: "I'm deeply saddened to hear about the stabbings in Huntingdon. My thoughts go out to all those affected. 2 suspects have been immediately arrested and taken into custody. I'm receiving regular updates on the investigation. I urge people to avoid comment and speculation at this stage." Peter, I want to talk to you about operationally what the police will do in this kind of massive incident here, where we've been hearing there from Mark White reports that there are 3 air ambulances. What sort of action will the police be taking?
Primarily, the protection of life in the very first instance. It's why the police was set up. It's why they exist, to protect life and property. So in a situation such as this, the primary concern of the first responders to arrive, that will have been uniformed police officers, quite possibly young in age and young in service, exposed to a traumatic scene where their training kicks in, and in the very, very first instance, it's about saving lives. It is, of course, and there's often a balance to be struck, it's also about arresting offenders. And sometimes, in previous occasions, police officers have actually been confronted with the dilemma: do I try and save that person's life, or do I try and catch a suspect who may be fleeing? That's what police have had to deal with in the past. We don't know whether that's applied here. It wouldn't surprise me if they did. And then what people say to me so often when situations like these unfold, it's like, well, why don't we know more? Why haven't we been told more? Why aren't the police giving us more information? Well, I can tell you very simply why that is. Sadly, we know there are multiple casualties. Imagine having a loved one who you thought was travelling by train today, who then got injured, and you found out about what happened to them through the television or through social media. That would be ghastly. So the police, of course, quite rightly, have to contact relatives, loved ones, impart what information they can. And then, in practical terms, investigation-wise, there will be the need to appoint a senior investigating officer, a detective, a senior detective who will preside over the team of detectives that investigate this incident. And, of course, scenes of crimes need to be properly examined. That is very, very important because, of course, scenes of crimes in this day and age, with all the advances in forensic science, so often give up their secrets. They tell a story of who was where and who did what.
Indeed.
And that will be very much at the forefront of detectives' thinking.
Indeed. I just want to bring you some other reports here. We've heard witnesses describe seeing a man with a large knife and passengers hiding in the toilets to escape the rampage. One witness told a paper there was blood everywhere and people were getting stamped on by others as they tried to flee. A witness said, "I heard some people shouting, 'We love you.'" The attack is understood to have started shortly after the LNER train left Peterborough station. Of course, you have seen the footage as you're seeing that there from earlier today. Witness on the train said someone was moving through the carriage saying, "They've got a knife, I've been stabbed." The witness told a news channel that the man was extremely bloodied and that by the time the train stopped, they were basically on the floor. That person ended up collapsing on the floor. They were taken to an ambulance pretty much straight away. This is very harrowing stuff, Lisa. And, of course, we cannot speculate at the moment as to, Peter gave exact exactly the reasons why we do not speculate about this. That there is a worrying knife crime epidemic in this country, is there not?
Yeah, and that's what I would say. There's lots of things about this we don't know, but we do know that this is stabbing, and we do know that this is a knife crime, yet another one. You know, a knife crime is happening day in, day out, every hour, actually, of the day, all the way through the country. And I don't think our politicians have actually taken knife crime seriously at all. You know, I remember last year, you know, unfortunately when Southport happened, it was a perfect time then for the Prime Minister to talk about knife crime, and unfortunately he never did. And, you know, unfortunately what has happened over the last year, you know, people like Idris Elba has come forward, you know, with documentaries about knife crime. His response to knife crime was to round off knives, you know, rather than talk about the issue, the social issues about knife crime, why people carry knives, how they get hold of knives, and then what we do about them. That seems to be missed from the public agenda now.
Yeah, it certainly does. AJ, tonight many young people and just young adults perhaps might be going out celebrating Halloween, maybe some early firework events. This is terrifying, isn't it? It's terrifying to think that this kind of violence happens in our country. Of course, we don't know the exact cause of this incident yet. But do you get a sense of a feeling of rising violence in the country, a more worried, a more fearful country?
I think it's upsetting to feel like this is, unfortunately, obviously we don't know much information in this scenario, but it is common to see walking through the capital city, London, seeing knife crime is becoming so common, and it's upsetting when something you actually get used to seeing it and hearing the police sirens, and that's the one thing that is upsetting, hearing what we we want people to acknowledge the seriousness, the severity of these incidents. Obviously, this incident is horrific, straightforward, but this is happening every single day now.
Yeah, it really is. I'll just, some other reports I'd like to read to you to give you an understanding of what's happening here. One eyewitness described the scene on the train as horrific and pure chaos on board. They said there was blood everywhere. It was a terrible scene, really violent. It was like something from a film. It didn't feel real and just sparked pure panic on board. Shocked onlookers were shaken and traumatised. There's a heavy police presence on the scene at the moment. All the passengers are stuck at Huntingdon. Of course, the Prime Minister has tweeted, we have his post on X here. The appalling incident on a train near Huntingdon is deeply concerning. My thoughts are with all those affected. My thanks go out to emergency services for their response. Anyone in the area should follow police advice. We've also heard from the Conservative Party leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, deeply disturbed, as she says, by the reports emerging from Huntingdon. This is an absolutely horrific attack, and my thoughts are with those affected, including the emergency responders at the scene. The Mayor, Paul Bristow, the Conservative Mayor of Peterborough in Cambridgeshire, in a statement also says on X, hearing reports of a horrendous scene on a train in Huntingdon, Cambridgeshire. Cambridgeshire police are at the scene and 2 people have been arrested. Thoughts and prayers with everyone involved. Yeah, this, Peter, is absolutely horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. And I'm feeling, you know, from the clear sense of speed that politicians are responding to it, that this is a very major incident. It's harrowing to see our country end up like this, isn't it?
I would just like, because I believe in giving thanks and praise where it is due, I think what Kemi Badenoch said about her thoughts being with first responders as well, of course, obviously with the victims, and we all send them our best wishes. But for Kemi Badenoch to particularly highlight the first responders, because, as I mentioned not so long ago, these could be young people, young in service, police officers, first on scene, and they are being repeatedly exposed to scenes of trauma on an almost daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis. Young frontline police officers are facing more horror and more bloodshed than I ever did in my career and my generation of police officers. Far, far more of it. And we need, if we want to retain these officers, if we want to keep them so they gain more experience and they become more accomplished at what they do, we need to think about them as well.
Yes.
When things have moved on in the days afterwards, I want policing leaders to lead and not manage. I want them to lead by showing concern for their frontline officers and the trauma they are being exposed to.
Certainly agree with you there, Peter. This is going to be a very harrowing incident to see, and it will strike fear into any human being, of course. I'll just go over some of those reports again very briefly for you. Reports that passengers were hiding in toilets. One witness told the paper there was blood everywhere and people were getting stamped on by others as they tried to flee. A witness said, I heard some people shouting, "We love you," perhaps on a phone call, who knows. The attack is understood to have started shortly after the LNER train left, of course. Another witness said, they've got a knife, I've been stabbed. This is what they heard as someone was moving through the carriage. The witness told a media outlet that the man was extremely bloodied and that by the time the train had stopped, they were basically on the floor. That person ended up collapsing on the floor. They were taken to an ambulance pretty much straight away. Some very harrowing accounts there. I'm going to be joined by Mark White, who is joining us, Home and Security Editor. Mark White, is there any developing news, Mark? And of course, we've seen an outpouring from politicians across the country.
Well, certainly we're getting more detail on just the horrifying scene that was unfolding in that train after it just left Peterborough station. As we do that, we want to bring you some more images that we've just received that give you an indication of the huge emergency service response. We believe that 20 or so ambulances, not these shots, but we've got other shots that we've just got in that are ground level shots showing the ambulances that are mustering there outside the train station in Huntingdon as they deal with this incident. And what we're told, there are some reports, as you can see, it's just an incredible number of emergency services. And of course, some of those are paramedic vehicles to transport patients. Others are sort of hazardous area response units with specialist paramedics on board. As you get in these types of mass casualty attack, as this absolutely looks like it is, in terms of the motivation, we don't know that. It's certainly not been declared a terrorist incident as yet, but the reports that have been coming through now from multiple eyewitnesses who were on board that train saying that there was a number of people, one person very heavily blooded, walking through the train and falling down, another person shouting that they'd been stabbed running down the train, and then obviously people in panic trying to get out of those carriages, hiding in the toilets, whatever they could do. Very significant quantities of blood, as of course you would expect in a mass stabbing. There was something, if there was anything fortuitous about this horrific incident, it happened just out of Peterborough and before Huntingdon. So the train pulled into Huntingdon station pretty quickly after this stabbing attack unfolded. And right where the station is, not far away at all, is Cambridgeshire Police Headquarters, and also a main area hospital in that location as well. So one, in terms of being able to transport the most badly injured of those who'd been stabbed to an area hospital. They're within a short reach of that hospital. And of course, you have the headquarters for the local police force. That doesn't necessarily mean, of course, that there were necessarily armed police at the headquarters at that point. They could have been out on patrol. You've seen them there on the images running down the platform towards the suspect or suspects involved in this. Now, BTP, British Transport Police, talk about 2 people having been arrested, but eyewitness reports at the moment anyway, are only talking about one person with a knife, a person that was seen on the platform with a large knife and may have been tasered, according to one eyewitness report, prior to being arrested. As I say, because it was so close to a main police building and a main hospital, it at least is allowing that very significant emergency service response to be on scene very quickly and to deal with what the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has this evening called an appalling incident, said he's appalled by what is a deeply troubling incident unfolding there.
It certainly seems to be the case, Mark. Very harrowing reports we are reading, indeed. It would strike the fear into, well, the most robust person. Mark, do we know when we might hear more from the police or any other sources on this? Might it be that we find out later this evening or early tomorrow?
Well, of course, the immediate priority for the police is dealing with the incident before them. They have a communications team, of course, who have an equally important job, and that is getting messages of reassurance out to the public. They haven't yet guided us any way or, one way or the other in terms of what the motivation for what was clearly an attack, a multiple stabbing attack, is concerned. But in the absence of what they're saying, we can only bring you the words of the Prime Minister there, by being deeply troubled and describing it as an appalling incident. And this statement here from the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, she says, "I'm deeply saddened to hear about the stabbings in Huntingdon. My thoughts go out to all those affected. 2 suspects have been immediately arrested and taken into custody. I'm receiving regular updates on the investigation. I urge people to avoid comment and speculation at this early stage." As we said before, of course you want to avoid comment and speculation, but it's understandable when there is an absence of any kind of the key facts as to whether, we haven't yet been told that there is no wider threat to the public. We haven't been told one way or another whether they believe there may have been a terrorist motivation here or not. So until that kind of information comes out, of course people will be concerned and will worry about what the cause of that horrific unfolding tragedy is. Still a very significant emergency service response at the scene. The immediate casualties in terms of those that have been stabbed are either still being triaged at the scene. I would imagine they probably by now all have been taken to area hospitals. We are not hearing at this stage about any fatalities. We're just hearing about injured people as a result of a knife attack, as indeed described there by Shabana Mahmood as stabbings. So, let's be grateful for small mercies, but at the moment at least, no reports of fatalities, just that very significant emergency service response. And of course, what it will do to the rail network is, it's a very busy Eastern Rail network going through that area of Cambridgeshire. So LNER, Thameslink that operate services through there, very severely disrupted. No services actually going through Huntingdon Station at the moment, and both those train operators telling people they're advising them not to travel, and of course to check with them about when the next availability to travel might be.
Indeed, yes, this is going to be very disruptive, but of course our thoughts immediately are with the victims of this, what looks to be a horrendous incident. Mark White, thank you for joining me. I appreciate more of your insights on this breaking story, and we may hear more from you shortly. Peter, I'm very grateful to be joined by a former Met detective with us tonight. Peter, this sort of stage now, the attack is over, of course. The police, as we understand, have tasered a man with a large knife. 2 arrests have been made. What sorts of things will follow for the police? Of course, the victims being treated now by the emergency services. What sort of other investigations will the police be doing?
The securing of the scene, absolutely vital, because with modern forensic science as it is, with DNA, with fingerprints, with fibre transfer, with blood spatter analysis, with so much more, you really can paint a picture. And of course, all detectives will be thinking, it's irrelevant someone's been arrested. It's irrelevant someone might be charged. You have to think, whoever, if somebody is charged in the future, they're going to plead not guilty. They're going to deny everything. So as a detective, you have to paint the full, accurate, complete picture. And that's done through preserving the scene, of course, as much as you can in the first instance, the brilliance of the scenes of crimes officers that attend with all their multiple skills. They have so many more skills and talents than they did back in my day, when it was essentially a tub of fingerprint powder and not much more. Those forensics, absolutely crucial, as well as, of course, trying to establish a motive. So there's a lot of background work to be done on any person arrested for any kind of crime similar to this. Who is this person? What were their motives? And that often requires searching their home address, if they've got one. People sometimes are of no fixed abode and the such like, and painting a picture. So what does the scene tell us? What do we know about this person? And of course, as and when appropriate, what do witnesses and CCTV also tell us?
Well, thank you for that, Peter. And we're going to bring another former Detective Chief Inspector here, Dave McKelvey, joining us now to talk about this breaking news. Thank you for joining us, Dave. Much appreciated. Of course, this will be striking horror into many people at home. What do we expect to hear from the police in the coming hours? Will we expect an update perhaps in the early hours of the morning, or will they continue to keep the public alert as the investigation now develops?
Well, I would hope that you're going to get a full update, because obviously this is going to raise serious concerns amongst the public, and obviously with the, people are angry with some of the events that have taken place over recent weeks and months, and obviously people are going to jump to conclusions. And so there needs to be full transparency as to what's happened tonight. And if it's a terrorist incident, it needs to be highlighted as such. If it's a knife-enabled crime, then again, they need to establish that very, very quickly and let people know. But either way, whether it's terrorism or it's knife-enabled, the fact is that people don't feel safe anymore. You can't go out on the streets, you can't go to work, you can't go shopping, you can't do anything, because you're in fear continuously of being attacked, and knife crime is out of control.
Yeah, Dave, what can the police do to reassure people? I mean, we have, of course, a police force that has suffered over the years from budget cuts, amongst other things. What can the police do now after events like this to help people feel safe in their local communities?
You've got to get back to old-fashioned policing. You've got to put police officers up, back on the streets, highly visible, put them back out in the streets so people can see that they've got police service out there on the streets. At the moment, that's just not happening. There's been lots and lots of promises made by the government, promises made by police leaders, but the reality is